How's it going, you programmers and wannabe programmers? In today's video, we're going to be creating a Chrome extension, one that we started from 2 weeks ago, taking off from there and making it into a Chrome extension that you would actually put out on the market, and a Chrome extension that people can pay for. So you guys stay tuned. This is going to be a jam-packed video. It's going to be a long video, but I promise you, just stick till the end. You'll get a lot of value out of this. I'll be taking you straight from taking a concept all the way to the finished product to put it out on the market and having people, be able to pay for it, and you can make some little extra side income like what I'm currently doing with my 2 other Chrome extensions. Real quick, before we get on with the video, I just want to let you guys know I made a newsletter. It is called Building Very Great Software. And for those that don't know what a newsletter is, basically you get an email on a set interval. So with me, I'm going to be sending out an email every week, letting you guys update on what I'm currently working on. And what the newsletter is about is me taking an app idea from start to finish, completely showing you step-by-step process of how I think and how I would go about giving it out to customers and having like a pricing model so that you can actually make money from this idea. And what I do is I take validated niched ideas of software and put it out there, and you'll have access to GitHub, everything. I'll discuss it later in another video. I'll go in a full depth of exactly how you'll be getting a lot of value from that newsletter. But let's continue on with the video. Stay tuned for that video, and peace out. Further ado, let's get back into this. So if you guys don't remember from my last video, also you guys please hit subscribe and like. This is going to be an amazing video. You guys are going to be learning a lot on how to make a Chrome extension if you guys have not already made one. Also, like monetizing it. You can make money from this side income. I currently do that with 2 other extensions. Anyways, but okay, so this is going to be a very long video, but I'm just going to go over what we made before. This was some stuff that I already done. So right now we just have 2 files. We just have our manifest.json and our content.js, and we've given it a version, a name, another version, content scripts, matches, CSS, and JavaScript. So with this, we had a viewer leave a comment on one of my videos, and I'll probably insert an image of what he said in the video somewhere. Alright, so this is how I figured out how to skip the ad on the page. So we're just going to play this here, and then we're going to pause it right here. So you can see it says skip ads. Now what I did was I brought up the developer console. So what you can do is you can click on this little sandwich over here, and there should be the same for Chrome and Firefox and everything, but I think it's more tools, and then developer tools, and then that will open, or you can just do Control-Shift-I or Command-Shift-I for Mac, and that'll bring up this nifty window here, and then what you do is you just click inside of this part of the window, not over here or not down here. We can actually probably close that. So just on this side, just click anywhere, just so that the browser focuses and knows that you're in here, and then we'll hit Control or Command F, and then we're going to find a string. So the string we want to find is skip ads. So we'll just type in skip ads. Alright, you can see there it found it. So then after I knew that this was just an element within the page, what I went ahead and did was I just hit right click, store as a global variable, and then now you have access. Let's click on console over here, and now you have access to that DOM element within the window in your console. So if we just type in temp1, we'll be able to see that yes, it is that div. So you can see when you highlight your pointer finger over that text, you can see it pop up. You can see it on the other side over there. And with each DOM element, you can actually click on, like, so you can see I can click on everything. I can click on the thumbs up, thumbs down, share, save, all this stuff. You can also click on the skip ads button. So for those that don't know much about DOM, I would recommend that you read up. Otherwise, you might not understand all this. But what I did was I just did temp1 dot, and then when you do dot, there's an automatic like an IntelliSense kind of a thing where it shows you all the different properties of that DOM element. And you can see here that there's one called click, which is great. That's what we want, but you can see there's many more on blur cancel, but we're just focused on click because we want to basically run code to do the clicking for us. So click is a function that is closed in parentheses, or parentheses. And so when we click enter here, it's actually going to click the skip ads button, and that's going to actually bring us to the video. So you can see there it clicked and then it took us straight to the video, and that is doing the same over here. So you'll see here what we're doing is we're just saying like, hey observer, we want you to observe the page's body, and while you're observing the page's body, we want to know if any attribute changed, anything in the subtree of the body changed, because HTML is just like a tree of elements. So we want to listen on all the things that are changing underneath the subtree, anything that has children, and then character data. I believe that's like if the text content of a box changes. So if it says like go, or I don't know, like if the wording changes within an element. But we want to listen to all these things. And then whenever the page does do a change, we're saying, hey, for each of those changes, we want to see that change, and we want to make sure that the change has a target, and that target's inner text, basically this is contains, so we want to make sure that inner text contains the string skip ad, because I've noticed on YouTube that there's skip ad and skip ads. So we want to see that there's at least skip ad. If there is, then go ahead, take that target and click it, and then just log out to the console that we did skip the ad. So alright, so within my manifest JSON, I did notice that I had it going for all pages, but what we want to do is we probably want to only do it on youtube.com, as well as we want to run the content script whenever there's probably HTTPS involved, just because YouTube doesn't really run, we know that YouTube doesn't really run on HTTP, because that is no longer a viable option, but we want it to run on any page, on any path, on youtube.com. And we just want it to load the content.js. And then we'll probably rename this as well. So let's rename this to YouTube auto skip. Oh, it looks like we did. We are getting a couple errors here. Can't read property index of undefined. So it's saying that this is not defined right here, the inner text. So let's add that real quick. So we'll just say paste that in, and because we don't want the target to be null, we also don't want the target's inner text to be null, and we want the target's inner text to have the contents of skip ad. Alright, and then what I would do is I would just copy this here, paste it into your browser, right click, and then just hit save as, and then just go to your folder wherever you are doing your Chrome extension in, and I would just save it there. So download the app.js as well as the auth.js. So copy those links, download them, and then put them into your extension folder. And then the reason why we don't really want to reference these inside of our project is because with MV3, all of your external code needs to be within your extension. So yeah, they're kind of strict on that, so we're going to keep it in our extension, and I already have it. Alright, now let's start to add a couple more things to our manifest here. So we will say background, just follow me here, just create a background.js, and then as well as we want to also add some icons. So we'll create a quick icon and have one of size 48. We'll create a folder called images, and then do like icon 48.png. Oops. Copy that, and then let's make another one for 128. I think you can also do a size for size 64. And then also we will create an action, and inside the action we will do default icon, and then this also will kind of take the same sizes from here, and we'll paste those there. Oops. And then also when they hover over the icon, we want to make sure that they can see the title. So the title being the YouTube auto skip. Alright, and then we'll save that, and then we shall go ahead and create a new folder called images, as well as make a new file called background.js. Alright, so this is the 48 by 48. What is it? I think it was like icon 48. And then change this to icon 128. 250, and I think this will just be icon. Now if we go ahead and clear these errors and enable it again, hit refresh, and then remove downloads, and then restart this. And we can also go up here to the puzzle piece, click on that, and then we'll want to pin that. So you can see there, you can see our little icon. It's pretty cool. There's nothing you can do by clicking on it yet. But let's see if an ad plays. Okay. You can see here the ad's 12 seconds, but the auto skip here is going to be at 3. So my cursor's right over here. I'm not going to touch anything. Ooh. And it didn't do anything. One thing I forgot to add was the www.youtube.com. So I'm going to refresh the extension. You're not going to be able to see me. So if we go to refresh, and then go back to YouTube, because yeah, you can see here I forgot to add this www, so it wasn't matching it. So video will play after ad. We don't want those kind of ads. We want a different type of ad. Alright, so this, my cursor's over here, it should auto skip. Alright, you can see there it does auto skip. And then if we were to go to inspect, you can also right click, hit inspect, and then it will also take you to the same thing here. You can see there, boom, ad skipped. It skipped the ad, which is great. That's what we wanted. Alright, so now that we have it working and we got our icons and everything, let's try and get people logging in so that they can log in to our extension. So let's go ahead and set up Firebase first. Okay, so let's go to Firebase, just firebasegoogle.com, and then we'll click sign in. Sign in to your Google account, and then click go to console, and then hopefully I can do a project. So we'll say YouTube auto skipper. I will name this to YouTube auto skipper. Click that. If you're worried about Google Analytics, you can enable it. I'm not going to enable it, but it is completely free. And this will take a minute or two to create your project, or a few seconds, I don't know. If you guys have made it this far, please keep sticking around. I appreciate you guys so much. You know, hit that like button, hit subscribe, like just keep on watching. I promise you guys are going to be getting so much content, so much value out of this video of how to create an extension from start to finish. Our Firebase project just got finished, so let's continue on with doing this. So First, what we'll want to do is we'll want to go to this authentication section and then just click Get Started. You can set up whatever kind of sign-in method you want to do. But for now, I'm just going to do Google. It is the easiest, so I'm going to click Enable here. There's no project support email, so it's going to do the one that is your email, like whatever, doesn't really matter. And then your project public-facing name, so this will be our YouTube auto skipper. And then we'll save this for now. Alright, so the next thing that we want to do is we actually want to go to Google or whatever, and then we want to look up the Google Cloud Developer Console. And then it should be this one right here, console.cloud.google.com. So up here, there should be a button that says like new project or whatever. So we're going to create a new project. I already have a few, so I'm going to make a new one. So let's create this saying just like YouTube auto skipper. And then you're probably going to have to set up some like billing account, everything else. So we'll go ahead and click create, and so it's creating the project for me. Alright, so now that it's done, we're going to click select project, and then we are going to go over to API and services and click dashboard, and then we'll go down to credentials. And then here we're going to click create credentials, and then I believe we're going to click OAuth client ID. And then I guess we have to configure a consent screen, so we'll click that. And then here we'll want to use external because internal is only available to users within our organization. Our organization being just people that are on like our Google Cloud platform. Whatever, you know, if we've assigned ourselves to an organization within the Google Cloud, which we don't, we want this to be available to any test user with a Google account. It will start up in testing mode, and then it will only be available to users you add to a list of test users. So perfect, you know, we don't really, so if you want to get this thing, you know, like fully in production, you're going to have your app be verified through Google Cloud. Our app name is going to be YouTube Auto Skipper again. User support email is probably just going to be the default one that you sign in with Google. Your app logo, which we've already created. Which is going to be, I'll just click this icon.png. Perfect. We don't really have any of this stuff yet. Developer contact information, so just type in, you know, your email address, and I believe that's all we need to hit save and continue. Alright, and then what we'll want to do is we'll want the user info of the email and profile. We want those two just because that we are going to be needing those for our extension. So, you know, because we want to be able to check that when a user is signed in, we want to be able to grab their email and store it for later so that we can verify that they are like logged in. So we'll click that and click update. All right, and then we'll click save and continue. And then for test users, we will add ourselves. So type in your email address, click add. You should be good to go. Click save. All right, now we should be good to go. Let's go back to the dashboard. I'm gonna re-add my email because I don't think it saved it. All right, now let's go back to credentials. Click create credentials, OAuth client ID. Application type, what we want this to be is we want this to be a web application. No, we want this to be a Chrome app, so we'll just say YouTube auto skip again, Chrome extension. All right, this application ID, what we'll do now is we'll go yet to another website, chrome.google.com/webstore/category/extensions. And what you'll need to do is you'll need to go and sign up to be a developer. As you can see here, I already have a few Chrome extensions, but you'll click new item, go to browse files, and then go to your folder that your extension is in. And what you'll want to do is, you probably can't see me right now, but what I'm doing is I'm zipping up all of the files within my folder. So I'm going to select all of the files, all of the folders, all the JavaScript files in the images folder, and I'm going to say send. I'm going to right click and say send to compressed zip folder, hit enter, and then boom, I zipped up everything into one zip, and we'll click OK. And you can see here that it created a temporary page for our Chrome extension. So we'll say auto skips YouTube ads. All right, we'll select a category for productivity, I guess, English, and then store icon 128 by 128. You don't really need to add much else, and then we can just do a save draft, saving item saved, perfect. And then what we want to do next here is, I believe we want to go to package and then go to view public key, and then copy everything in between begin public key and end public key. So I want to copy all that and then go to our manifest.json and then add another thing called key, and then in quotes, oops, add in what you just copied here. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to remove all of these spaces and make it on one line. And what this is going to do is it's going to make it so that, oops, this is going to make it so that your Chrome extension ID will never change, because if you don't have this, your Chrome extension ID will always change, and that is a bad thing for if you have people signing in to your Chrome extension. Yeah, it's just bad, so we want to add this here. Keep it, save it, click OK. So our ID right here is always going to be this one right here. So that's always going to be the same now that we have that key in our manifest.json. All right, and now that we have that done, what we want to do is we want to go back here, and we actually want to copy this ID, go back to the Google Cloud platform and paste it in here and click create. After that's done created, we'll want to copy this client ID, and this is what makes it so that our Chrome extension can basically do like the sign into Google. It's gonna be really nice. So we have the key here, and then after this key we'll add yet another another section called OAuth 2, and inside of OAuth 2 we're going to be making a client ID, and then this we're going to paste in our client ID here, as well as we're going to be adding scopes. Basically we're telling Google, hey, whenever we talk to you, this client, we want this client ID to be able to retrieve these two pieces of information, both of which are the email and the profile of the person. So we shall save that, and we need their email because we need to make sure that they, you know, are signed into our application, as well as have they actually paid for our services, for our app. So 2 important things that we need for our extension. And now that we have that and that is created, we can now go back to Firebase. And then you see this safe list of client IDs from external projects. We'll need to add that client ID here as well. Oops. So take your client ID that we just pasted and put it into here and click add. All right, that should be good to go. All right, so now that we have that, I think we should be able to see if we can't sign in to our extension. But before we do, we want to copy a couple of things here. So we'll need some more permissions. So yet again, we need to add a section called host permissions. And then inside of there, this is going to be an array, so square brackets, and then add in these 2 here. These will be able to make it so that we are able to hit the Google URLs from our extension to be able to get people to log in. Also, one more section, we need to tell the browser, hey, we need a couple of permissions to use for the, for our Chrome extension. Will you please, be able to give us these permissions? 2 of these are going to be identity, and also we need identity identity.email. So we'll need both of these in order to actually call the Chrome extension API, or to be able to actually call the Chrome browser APIs. If we don't have these here, if we try to call that particular API for the browser is gonna puke and just be like, no, you cannot do that. All right, so we should be good there. So after we click the gear and go to project settings, we'll then want to click on this for the web and my app name. So it's going to be YouTube Auto Skipper. We don't need to set up Firebase hosting. We can click register app. All right, and then we can copy this chunk of code here, go to our background.js file, paste it there. All right, and just to make login pretty easy, what we're going to do for now, this isn't going to be like the final thing, but what we're going to do is whenever a user clicks on this, for the time being, whenever we click on that, that will sign us in to our extension. So after the initialize app call, what we're going to do is we're going to hit Chrome action on clicked, and what this does is it will be listening for whenever a user clicks on that that extension icon in the browser. And then we'll do .add listener, and then we will make a function inside of here, and then inside of here we are going to call Chrome.identity. So this comes important where we added the identity and identity email permissions. If we tried to do this call right here, the get auth token, if we tried to make this call here, Chrome would actually block us from doing this. So we needed to add those to our manifest.json and to enable us to actually use this API. So yeah, what we're going to be doing is this accepts an object and then a function. So the object is going to contain a key of interactive true, and then a function which is going to be passed us a token, and then from there we will be making a variable called credential, calling firebase.auth.google auth provider.credential, passing a null and then token. So basically what this token is when you are signed into Google Chrome, there's a specific token that's associated with your login information, and that is grabbing it here. And then we are making sure that we are a-okay to use it there. And then now that we have that Google Auth credential, we can call Firebase Auth as a function and then sign in with credential. So basically what this is doing is we're telling our Firebase app, hey, this user is signing in to Google into our app. So we're taking a user's token from Google Chrome and then using that to make a Google login for our app. I know it sounds pretty weird, but this is all handled for us automatically. And then what we'll do is we will get the what will be returned to us as an ID token, and then we'll just console log that out. Actually, we will just do console.log. And if there is an error, we will just also console.error. Alright, so let's actually see if this is going to work, if I need to add anything else. So we'll hit refresh here. Taking a second to reload. Oh yeah, so you can see here, this one starts with a C, and our started with OBFL, and that is here, so we can actually remove this one. And this is always going to be the one that works. So it looks like we have errors. Service worker registration failed. One last thing I forgot to add. It was kicking me in the butt for a while, but with how MV3 works, Manifest version 3 works, is if you ever want to reference any other JavaScript file within your background script, you'll need to add a little bit of code. So it's just one line. We just have to do self.import scripts, and then give it the path in which that's going to be Firebase -app.js, as well as the Firebase auth.js. All right, so if we go back to YouTube, click on our extension. Alright, there it is, and then if we click sign in, Google hasn't verified this app. We'll just hit continue, because obviously, we haven't told Google hasn't verified our app that it's good to go, and we're not trying to scam anyone out of their information. We'll click allow, and then I'm going to click on the service worker here. You can see here it logged out that information that we logged out to the console. Right here. It's right here, this console.log that happened here. Cool. So again, I appreciate you guys for staying this long in the video. Now we have the user's ID token. Now we just need to pass that to our backend service to save their information, and then start asking for a payment so they can actually use our extension if they only have a subscription.